definitely a dance between the actor and the camera, because I don't think none of them exists without the other.
What happened to me personally, transitioning from the stage to the film, I realized that's the same thing as the audience.
Sometimes the actor moves, so he takes the camera to a certain point, from point A to B, or the camera moves and then the actor reacts to that. So there is always this dance, there is always this connection, there is always this link. The camera is made for the actor and the actor is made for the camera.
I believe there's an invisible connection between the actor and the camera. There's something with the presence of the camera that creates this level of intimacy between whatever is going on within yourself as an actor and whatever the lens can perceive.
That's not exactly something you can teach. It's just something that an actor connects with on the inside. And then they just kind of peel back all of their defense mechanisms and all of their ego, and they show you their soul, and it's beautiful.
You don't have to do much, you just have to be there and feel and impersonate that role that you're doing, and you just have to be truthful to yourself as an actor, and the camera will capture all that and will make it visible for the audience.
Comes Lee Strasberg. Back in 1973, I started to listen to his lecture, and he gave us a tool for what we're talking about that was extraordinary, because if you're dancing in a dance floor with 20 or 30 people, you may pay attention to someone else and you may go this way a little bit, but you know where your partner is, and you always come back to your partner.
They complement each other, and they definitely have to work together in this kind of dance in order to get the best visual and the best emotion for the story. So sometimes the actor has to accommodate the camera, sometimes the camera has to accommodate the actor, but it's all about telling the story the best way you can.
There's a little bit of a misconception about the translation between stage acting and film acting, and people want to complicate things. Like when I was in acting school, I had an acting teacher teach us about complicating the prop, so that if you went to reach into your bag to get something, you didn't just find it right away. It was hidden in something behind, and you would have to move stuff around, and that gave you a bit of business. And I think that is really valuable because it allows an actor to get lost in the doing, as acting is doing, but you also, especially with a camera, you don't want to do that business in a really big way.
Lee Strasberg and Shelley Winters together were explaining to me back in 1975. In the theater, which is where I had come from, they were explaining, in the theater, you speak loudly and think softly. With the camera, you're going to think loudly and speak softly. In the camera, I don't have to project for an audience. I just have to use my voice realistically. If I have an argument at home, the neighbors hear it. So if I make it real to me, the camera can see that.
Just as we do in real life, we never try to, hardly ever we try to expose openly what we're feeling, what we're experiencing. However, our body and our language, our body language, our words, our actions demonstrate the opposite of whatever we want to project. And that's the beauty of acting. When the metaphor and where you can find the reading of whatever is happening through the mind of the actor in the camera without the effort of expressing it, without acting.
The actor is the main reason for the camera to be there. That's the whole point.
Everything I'm gonna do in the major scenes is a matter of life and death. So I'm gonna create a reality for myself. I need to save her life, and I've made that real to myself in some way. Either I understand it very clearly that I need to save her life, or I have personalized the relationship, and I know the extraordinary circumstances that I find myself with. If I can help myself to believe these imaginary circumstances, which are, I need to save her life, if I can make that real to myself, you can't hide it from the camera.
But with an actor's face, you capture an emotion. You get an emotion, you get sadness, you get happiness, you get a feeling that is not possible. I mean, of course you can get some other feelings and a sense of solitude or loneliness or happiness or sadness through a landscape, but it's much more stronger with an actor's face. So that's the main reason for the camera to be where it has to be.
In terms of the simplicity that is needed in front of the camera, now that is a discipline someone like me has had to learn, because I grew up on the stage without microphones, and a lot of the time it was theater in the round. So you had to be heard in a theater, and so I come from wah!
Yeah, definitely less is more. I think in everything. The camera has to be transparent, the lighting has to be transparent, and of course the acting has to be transparent. And I sometimes when I give workshops, I tell my students, one light is one problem, 10 lights, you have 10 problems.
On the camera, we'll put your face here in a close-up, and we'll come closer to you, to your hands, to your body as needed. In the theater, the audience chooses what to see, and many times the audience is so far away from you because they were sitting in the last row that you need to make sure that if something is happening with your hand, that person over there is seeing it, because that's part of your performance. They are not gonna have a camera that will bring that close-up of the hand shaking, for instance. You will have to make sure that your movement is way bigger so that last person can see it.
I remember when I came to New York City, I was trained as an actor in Cuba first. I trained myself in theater in Cuba, and I was coming from a completely different school. The foundation of my training was so different. I was training myself in a different code. I was coming from what they call teatro danza, which is a training of the body. Mayer Hall, Eugenio Barba, Nicola Savarese. Those were like big influences in the school in Cuba, and what they do is they train the actor to be expressive on stage. When I moved to New York City, I remember I got one teacher that told me, we're gonna be doing the same thing without the effort. So we wanna quiet the effort. We wanna make it so simple, so realistic that you don't have to, it's almost like you don't wanna see the art. You don't wanna see the artificial. You don't wanna see acting.
The first lesson in acting, according to Mr. Strasberg, no acting. So Stella Adler says the same thing. When I walk into the theater, as soon as I see acting, I don't like it anymore. So you and I in the scene have to decide what it is that is a matter of life and death that we are pursuing in the scene. Every major scene in the script is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
I remember Damian Alcázar, a Mexican actor, who said that he used to do plays, and he was acting in plays for many years, and he said once he told me, like, yeah, when you're acting for a play, you have to make the big emotion come out of your face, because you have to, it has to be seen by the last person on the last row. But with the camera, it's probably different because maybe the camera is far away, but you're this tight. So he told me once that when he learned that to check out the time, you don't have to do like this, or you could do this, then less is more.
The difference resides in understanding the language, understanding that when you have 1,000 people sitting in front of you, your energy is different because you need to project that energy. It's all about energy. And I know that energy is a very subjective concept, but as an actor, you need to understand that and you need to work with it.
The simplicity that is not acting. Now, we've all met people in real life who are more performative, who have that quality, in which case, since it's an actor's choice to engage in that behavior because it suits the character. Certain cultures, I think, are more likely to engage in exhibiting emotion physically, engaging in performative almost behavior. But you and I, as the actor, have to understand that not everybody does that. Sometimes, yeah, as a matter of fact, many times, we are engaged in a situation in the scene where we must not let on what is going on.
But when the camera captures, in my opinion, that blink of the eye, that spirit of the character through the eyes of the actor, without any need to act, that's when something special happens.
When we say, or when we preach as actors that the most important thing is to be in the present moment, and the most important thing is to be connected to your scene partner, to what's happening to you, but at the same time, you know that at some point somebody might be just giving you a sign to move slightly to the right because you're like covering your scene partner's lights, or the other way around. All these elements and people moving around you, and then you need to sort of block that fourth wall, but not entirely, because they tell you things that you need to know in certain moments. So it's a very difficult situation to be as an actor, but one that with training you can get the hang of it.
For the film actor, I think it's very complex and very technical. I mean, it's probably more complex than a play, I would say, because in a play you get the rhythm and you have a whole stage for you, you can move around, this and that. But with the camera, you have to be precise about, where you're supposed to stand. It's not the same if I'm seated here, if I sit here, a composition changes, or if I sit here. It's just a little, just a few inches, but it's completely different, the way the camera is composing with the background. Hitting the mark or hitting the light for you, for the actor, that's very technical. I feel it's very complex because the actor has to think with the already complex. The actor has to deal with so many difficult issues about his job of acting and impersonating a character and his emotions, but also the actor has to pay attention to all the technicalities in the film, which are many. Sometimes you want them to stand up slower, sometimes you want them to get to a certain point, to lean to a certain position. So many little things, little subtle things, but they're important for the composition, for the photography, for having a little bit of a reaction, seeing the face of the actor, even if he's not in the proper position to see the face. But you want to see the face because the emotion is there. And even if you're filming an actor from his back, you have to feel that emotion, even if it's his back, or if you're filming, his hand writing, you should feel that emotion. So I feel it's very complex, very technical.
It's a skill. It's layering skills. In any art form, you have techniques that you lean on, and then when you master those techniques, it looks really easy, but it's not easy. And so I think layering, being able to have an understanding of the lighting, being able to know where you're supposed to stand, having a sense that the camera's moving while not like, making it obvious. You layer those things one after another, and then it looks easy.
If you better understand where the mark is for you, what the focus puller needs from you, what the camera operator needs from you, what the sound guy needs from you, then you're going to be able to accommodate all those circumstances, all those technicalities within your job, and then you're going to be able to make it organic.
What we have to understand as actors is that we're dealing with a dual reality. We are talking about how to engage in the inner life, engage in the life of our character is one reality. But we have professional obligations that have to do with, I'm going to hit my mark, I have to be at the right place for the lighting, the specificity of where I have to be and when I have to be there. That is the literal reality I can't afford not to be aware of. In other words, the entire time I'm training and rehearsing, I am aware that I'm dealing with a dual reality.
If I don't bother the act that much with all my technical stuff, like the focus marks or the lighting, like if I want to cut the light, I don't know, here, so it's a little shadow from here to here, then the actor has to hit that place. It's not here, it's not here, it has to be there. So I don't want to bother the actor that much because I know it's very hard for the actor or the actress to get all this technical stuff in their head, and also acting, which is already a very big, complex emotional situation.
Your brain does this thing that disassociate. You're here, but you're also here with the elements and the lighting and the moving with the camera and hitting the mark.
I can't afford to say, oh, I was so engaged in the scene that I didn't realize the camera was there, or no. And we're talking meticulous expectations.
You create this fictional world, this fictional narrative, and you believe in that narrative, in the present moment. There's nothing else. But the moment you incorporate those technical elements, they become part of that fictional reality.
When I'm strangling my wife in the scene, I cannot really press on her neck. She's the one who's gonna control how much pressure is gonna go on her neck. In other words, we're not lost in some trance that denies reality by any stretch of the imagination.
And then you learn how to live in this dual reality and how to make it part of that world that you're using to play.
So we're training ourselves and we are rehearsing understanding the dual reality of which is the nature of our work. I have an impulse to slap you. I can't just slap you. First of all, I have to negotiate that with the two of us and with the production. I'm dying to slap him. It's okay if he slaps me, okay? So now what was originally an impulse now becomes a very sophisticated, staged piece of business, because you're not going to get slapped 8 times a week or at any time. However, it's going to be staged. Very realistically, masters of that teach us how to do that. So it is always absolutely essential that we understand.
I believe the better you understand everybody else's job, you can try to make it easier for them. So if a director knows what the sound person does, what the wardrobe person does, what the cinematographer does, what the actor does, is definitely good for every member of the team to understand what your job is in front of the camera, or what my job is behind the camera.
The person behind the camera had to train at least as difficultly as I did. The person doing this, everybody here had to work as hard as everybody else in order to get good at it. How good do you want to be? I want to be the best I can be, whether on the sound, whether on the lights. So I think that it's important to have an appreciation of the enormous concerns that the technical people are going through on a movie set.
I'm always aware of the lens, but it's not a conscious level of awareness. I can feel it. Just like dancing. When you're dancing, I love salsa dancing, right? When you're dancing, I'm not thinking, but I'm aware of my partner, and I can feel her, and I can suggest something, and I know that she will respond to my stimulus, and vice versa, right?
I remember I did a workshop with Rodrigo Prieto, and he said, I usually like to walk on where the actor is going to be. I sit where the actor is going to be seated, and I see what the actor is going to be, what is his point of view? Is he watching a camera and a person operating, but then somebody else with a cell phone there, or somebody else here doing something else? It's like you sit where the actor is going to be seated, or walk where the actor is going to be walking. You understand better. Or maybe this light is too hard, it's hurting my eyes.
Regarding the magic that we feel sometimes in performance, I think that may be connected a little bit to inspiration. It isn't something we can control, is it? So that's another lesson that I remember Lee Strasberg teaching us. You can't depend on inspiration, because inspiration is not something you have any control of. So you have to depend on your technique.
I think you can do things by rote, but if the whole team isn't kind of plugged in, then you don't catch all of it. You might catch some of it, but to really take advantage of something unexpected, everyone needs to be fully present.
And that magic is only going to happen when the guy who's pushing the dolly, the sound guy, the cameraman, the camera operator, the focus puller, and the actress are so connected, so in communion. I use this word because I believe is a commonality, a common vision, a common feeling that we all have to bring on set. We all have to understand that the set is a temple.
I think the communion comes from the community, and that comes from basic decency. It comes from mutual respect. It comes from being empathetic with someone who's been on set for 8 hours before you were on set, as well as someone who's just arriving from the kind of outside world, but they have to pour their heart out, like on the drop of a dime. So when there's mutual respect for the sacrifices everyone is making, for the challenges that are different to every player, then you have a sense of community. Then everyone is, rowing the boat in the same direction. And then you have something that is the communion, Then you're eating together, then you're laughing together, then you're a team.
There is magic that I think is usually unplanned. You never plan that magical moment. You never plan that little coincidence that happens. You just have to be ready to shoot it, to get it on the film, on the can, and it happens. And then sometimes you go back and you watch the film again, and it's like, wow, that's a strong moment. That's you're moving something, but you never plan for that. It just happens.
When the magic happens, and if you try to replicate it, it's not gonna happen. If you try to find it, you're not gonna find it. It's gonna hide away from you. So you just have to be ready to enjoy it when it shows.
When the technique brings you to a magic place where everything is happening just right for that moment, and not just you, but the whole entire set seems to have arrived at what we call magical moment. Why is that possible? Because everybody on set has been working hard 24/7. That's why. These are the orchestra has a magnificent moment. The orchestra has a magnificent, even a full piece that is magnificent, because accidentally all of the work, all of the sacrifice suddenly pays off for a moment. But it isn't something we have any control over.
I remember shooting a film, and after a couple of weeks, I remember the director came to me and said, you know, this is the main actor of the film. His best take is the first one. For whatever reason, his first take was the best one. And it took us 2 weeks to find that out. And then we decided, okay, then let's shoot his close-up first, which was a pain in the ass for me, but okay, I can accommodate. If that's his best acting, then let's do it. And of course, I had to, light his close-up first and then do the wide and blah, 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 which was a little bit of an efficient way of shooting, but we found that, and it's amazing the way it works on the film. So you have to be working for the film, whatever is best for the film, whatever is best for the actor. I have even sacrificed lighting and stuff, cinematography stuff, whatever little shadow that you don't want, or maybe the actor, maybe she should turn around 3 degrees more. I mean, if the acting is good, if you're bothering the actor with, turn around a little bit more, maybe he or she can handle it, but maybe he or she cannot. So it's okay. I mean, if the acting is good, then it doesn't matter if it's 3 degrees or 2 degrees more this way or the other way. It's just you're making the film easier for the actor, and it's going to be better for the film.
To me, the stage and the set is my temple. It's not just a place where I make my living, it's the place where I make my life and the reason for my existence. So when everybody approaches the set phenomena with the same endowment, that's when the magic happens.